So this is number 4 in the installment of what's in the model case. This time we're going to look at some, of course I mentioned before that I like to make TV and movie models, not just cars but other things as well. But these are some that I have that are of course related to that more or less. So I'll start with this one. And this is it's a Johnny Lightning. The body is metal. It's more like a die cast. It has a plastic frame, which I detailed out and painted. I painted the wheels. I believe they might have been chrome, but they're just too shiny for me. So I toned them down some. And then all the interior is plastic and all that. So I had to paint that and detail it out, and it's a little hard to see. But there's a desk in there. I even put a small car on the desk. So you might be able to see a little of that through the window. And we'll look on this side. And these are like, chemist tools, although there's a microscope there in the background. Some of these came with the model, and then other things I cut out, like there's maps and stuff. I think I cut those out of something and used those. So, and there's one of the seats is loose. I'm going to have to take it apart and fix that. But being as the body was pre-painted, I didn't have to paint that. But for the 50s style Batmobile, this is pretty much the only choice unless you wanted to make your own. Excuse me. Lunar Models, I think it was, did make one similar to this, but I think the car was a little older. And it was resin with vacuum formed windows and such like that. And I've looked at that model many times, but it's just too expensive. Maybe one day I'll get one. But it would have to be at a really unique price, and now they've pretty much dried up. I mean, the company's been out of business for probably a couple decades now. But except for that, since I don't have that one, I have this one, and I think it's cool. It's got some serious weight to it. But I had fun building it, most of all detailing out the inside and then the underside. So I liked it. So that's the first car. Let's see, let's go to this one next. So this, I believe, is a lunar, I believe this is also a lunar model. Now, this one usually is in a case because it's very hard to dust. Let's see, yeah, it's separate. This is an 80s style Batmobile. This is more or less a solid resin. It's pretty heavy. But it has some detail on the bottom, which I painted. And the wheels came with it. I want to say the wheels are probably some kind of metal, white metal or something like that. And these are vacuum formed, these here. That's weird because they've hardened up over time. But this is I really like this style. And there's another one, Polar Lights has one similar to this, and I have that kit, but I haven't built it yet. The main reason being that I can't decide whether I want to do it in like dark purple or black. But it's on my list. I have the kit. I just need to build it and add it to the stable of Batmobiles I have. But this is a pretty cool kit. And that's the front. This is the back. I detailed the dash out, of course, with paint. And I want to say I bought this, oh boy, it's been a long time. I didn't buy it necessarily maybe when they were in business. I might have bought it a little bit after they went out of business. And I don't think it was really that cheap at the time. I don't even remember how much I paid, but if I had to guess, I would say $70 maybe. I'm not even sure. At the time, that was probably well worth it because I never see them anymore. Not even on eBay, nowhere. But I think it's a cool car. So that's number 2. And I'll move this over here. And I'll show you number 3 here. Some of these, like, I just keep them in a case because I've had them so long. They're many years old. And you just can't get them anymore, so they get a little bit of extra protection, I guess. So this is, of course, a Speed Racer Mach 5. I want to say I bought this at least after 93. But in early, mid-90s, but after 93. And it's a solid resin. It's pretty heavy. When you bought a DVD set, I think I bought a DVD set at the time, and had a coupon or brochure in there for a set of resin cars. They made the Mach 5. They made some car, a gold car, like it was called a GNX or something like that. And then they made Racer X's car. And I meant to get Racer X's car also, but before I could get it, the company was gone. So I was only able to get the Speed Racer car. The top here is vacuum formed. You can see it's turned yellow with age. But the rest of it's held up pretty well. It came with decals. The wheels are white metal, or they are metal. I'm guessing they're white metal. And then the rest of it is just different resin parts. These were vacuum formed as well, the headlights. But it's a good kit. I think the tires are rubber or vinyl. It's 1/24 scale. Now, yeah, Polar Lights has a Mach 5 that you can get, but that's a 132 at best. Because if you put it beside this one that's 124, you could see there's a major difference in size between those two cars. So, in the seats, you can see this seat is more or less the size of for 125, 124, but the seats in the Polar Light ones are extremely small. You could never get a 125th figure inside that cockpit. So, with that said, I really like the kit. It's held up well. It did have some saw blades that came out the front, and I either still have them, or just the way they mounted, they didn't mount very well, so they kept falling off. So I removed them, but I probably still have them tucked away somewhere. I'm just not sure. So, and this is the back. And I have 2 plastic kits of the Mach 5 and 124. I have one by Amai, and the other one might be Aoshima. They could even share the same parts, I'm not sure, but I have both of them, and I plan on building those 2 as well. But of course, this was way before anybody was going to take a chance and make them in plastic. So, but it's been around the block, but it's held up pretty good. And these are the days when, it was hard to get certain cars. Resin was your only way. Now this car here, I got this body in the late 80s, early 90s, like 1990, 91 maybe. I'm not even sure. And this was made by Scale Auto Replicas. It was a company, I believe, in California. He made a Batmobile, and he made a couple other cars. One of them was a famous custom car. And I had to wait almost a year to get it because he was so backlogged. But the body is a piece of resin. It was a brittle piece of resin. But I made it work. The chassis is off a Monogram 1958 Thunderbird. And the reason I chose that chassis is it has the same wheelbase. Because I was trying different cars and trying to figure out how am I going to make a chassis with this, because it did not come with a chassis at all. It didn't come with tires or wheels either. I mean, it only came with certain things. And so I just happened to have a 58 T-Bird that I had already built. And then I noticed that the wheelbase was the same after testing different cars. So I took it apart and reused it for this car. So you got the body, the vacuum form roof. You might have got, well, I don't think you got those pipes. I think you got a rudimentary interior. But I had to make almost everything else. You know, I had to make these pipes. I put the parachute on there, put the flame on there. This roll cage I had to make. So I had to put a hole in each, the front and rear, and then make a piece of plastic, insert it in there, and make sure it was curved right to fit these windows. And then that's all glued and puttied up and everything like that. I used this light. I made these lights up here on the top. I made the horns, the antennas out of a kit, fire extinguisher, and some of the other stuff. Maybe the bat phone even. Some of that other stuff is just out of different kits here and there. So, I mean, I was so happy to get this kit. When I finally received it, I was so happy. And I went right away to building it. All this striping is hand painted. Didn't come with any decals, of course, so I had to paint those on there by hand. And so this has been a long time I had this kit. And in a way, it's special to me because I always wanted a model of the Batmobile. And I had one years before anybody else did, just by building this one. And everybody always thought it was cool, which it is. But at that time, that's all there was. So, but yeah. Let's see. I think that's all of them. These 4 here. So it's not a whole lot. It's only 4 cars, but each one of them is different. And you're talking about 3 of them are made of resin. One of them is made of multimedia, including a die-cast body. But this is the pinnacle of I got this model before I got any of the others. And this was the one that I wanted so bad. So, of course, the Polar Lights came out with them. I built one of the snap ones, and I have 2 of the glue kits. So, one of the glue kits, I think, has figures, and the other one is the one that comes with like 2 engine options and photo etch and all kinds of everything you could possibly want for the car. So, one day those will get built, but since I have this one, I'm not in a hurry. Because I think what happened was there was so much I had to scratch build on this car, and I was new to modeling back then. I mean, I had built models since I was 8, but this is the very first resin kit I had ever seen or built. And I was new to, oh boy, now, when I got it, I was like, okay, I got my work set out because it didn't come with a lot of stuff. And that's fine. I understood that beforehand, but I had to learn a lot of new stuff on building it, since I hadn't done one before. So that's the update. It's number 4. And then I'll see you on the next one. I'll dig around in the old model case and see what I can pull out and see what I can show you. So I'll see you on the next one.